Welcome to Therapy, Coaching, and Dreams. I'm your co-host, D. Kelly, and I'm here with Jim Shalley. And together we love
Welcome,
exploring. Sorry, apparently the introduction took too long. Would you like to jump right into this, Jim, and we'll get rolling here?
Okay, good.
You have a few things you want to say? Is that
No. I just wanted to make you feel welcome. You always do such a good job of making me feel welcome. I thought I'd like to welcome you.
trying to put forth the nurturer side, the responder side? Therefore, I appreciate that.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Not to combine the two podcasts, but yes, that's true.
So we are in season 2, where we are digging a little bit more deeply into the idea of dreams and how they might help us in exploring what we covered in season 1, which is the inner landscape of personality and how that plays itself out, both in relationships, but also when we're doing the inner work to become more self-aware. So I'd love to talk a little bit about the notions we have about dreams, kind of the cultural norms, some of the typical questions that people have. So I'm hoping we'll cover a number of those this morning. Sound okay to you, Jim?
Yep, sounds great.
Okay. One of the common statements that I have that occurs again and again, occurred just this last weekend with Thanksgiving when I was gathering together with a group of people, was somebody who said, I never dream, haven't dreamed in a decade. And I think the comment is kind of dismissive, but also maybe it's, I don't know, when other people talk about dreams, is there any pride that I'm not dreaming? I'm not sure where that comes from, but it's actually not true. Science shows that if we are prevented from dreaming but allowed to sleep, that within a very short period of time, we'll begin to hallucinate, because the demand for that kind of brain activity is so essential to our survival that the body, the brain, forces it to happen, even if we try and prevent it while we're sleeping.
Have you ever had someone that said they didn't dream to get to the point where they realize they do dream?
Well, I think they are startled by that scientific neuroscience sleep clinic kind of thing, but then they're curious.
That might help them be more open to the idea that they do dream, so that then they might remember them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that the other piece that I will often add is that there's a cultural context to what we dismiss as white noise. I think I've already used the story that when I moved into the previous place we lived, the pipes that were clanging in the middle of the night down underneath the house, and that within 2 or 3 nights, I stopped waking up in the middle of the night when those pipes were clanging, because my brain designated them as non-threatening. We actually sleep with an attentiveness to our environment. Our senses don't completely shut down. We still hear things. There is still stimulus that can come from light. And all of that is a survival mechanism, because when we're asleep, we're most vulnerable. And back when we weren't sleeping in homes, but in tents or caves or whatever the case might be, like 20 years ago, when I had a lot less
money.
money.
I just came out of my cave recently, so
that's right.
That's good. I find myself dreaming less now that I'm out of my cave. So.
That's because there aren't as many threats. Don't need the alert.
That's right.
But your body is still alert. There's a wonderful book on sleep that talks about the animal kingdom and the different techniques that are used in the animal kingdom. And one of the most fascinating ones to me are certain species of birds who often sleep in a line, like on a high wire line, a electrical line. And the bird at the far right, half his brain sleeps so that the outside eye can keep an eye on what's taking place. And the bird on the far left, half of its brain will go to sleep while its left eye is looking out and keeping watch for the flock.
That's interesting.
And so
the guys in the middle can sleep.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so it's fascinating the adaptations that humans have had, as well as the rest of the animal kingdom, to accommodate the need to sleep.
we should all be sleeping in a row with
That's right. I might be a little uncomfortable in the middle, though. I think I'll take one of the outside.
That's true, that's true. That's really interesting, yeah. But I noticed that if you have like you were saying, if you have a noise you're not used to, it'll startle you.
Right.
But then all of a sudden, if you know, "Oh, that's that noise again," to your point, you do relax. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Mhm.
So you take that and apply it culturally. If we culturally have decided that dreams are unimportant, which I would say much of the Western world has,
Mhm.
then eventually we're going to designate them as white noise, unimportant distractions, and we will stop listening to them. We will stop seeing them or noticing them unless there's some kind of a nightmare that startles us awake. And so the cultural attitude toward dreams, I think, has had a great effect on the number of people who say, I never dream, because we don't know what to do with them. They seem immaterial
Uh-oh.
to our waking life. And so we just move on and pretend they don't exist. Do you have memories of periods of your life where dreams were more prominent, or dreams that have stuck with you for a long, long time?
Yeah, I have. Some have been very challenging as far as the repetitive theme.
Yeah.
Um, that's always challenging. It's like when one person consistently shows up in the dream and they either engage or don't engage, that's always an interesting thing to try to process. Because I think you agree, it's usually an expression of myself, not the person I'm dreaming about. Do you agree with that? Or
Completely. I mean, the number of times where somebody will talk about a dream they had where there was some kind of film star or a politician.
right.
Somebody would say, I had a dream about Brad Pitt. Am I supposed to call him because he seemed like he was in danger? Yep, that's, I think,
Yeah.
exactly what it
Yep.
means.
Give him a call. If you got his number, give him a call.
So, yeah, truth is, I had a dream that I journaled. This is probably about 2, 3 years ago. But Brad Pitt appeared and got into the back seat of the car beside me and told the driver to take us to his house, and we went to his home.
Is is that right?
So it was interesting, but that's another great misconception about dreams. It has nothing to do with Brad Pitt. It has to do with some part of me that, in that moment in my journey, would Brad Pitt would be a great descriptor of that part of me. So I have to pay attention and say what part of me would be represented by
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind that I have dreamt not as much lately, but in the past have, I realized that the person that wasn't available in the dream but would show up, but emotionally wouldn't connect, was really the part of me that I hadn't figured out yet. I wasn't connecting with myself. And
That's
that
great.
made a big shift for me as to how I interpreted those dreams, because before that, I would always think, "Okay, it's because they hurt me, they wounded me, or whatever that was," as opposed to, "Wait a minute, no, you're disconnected from what they represent, and that's the journey." And that helped with the masculine and feminine stuff we talked about in last season. It's helped with a lot of that stuff so far as making sense out of it. Because it is, I mean, it's entertaining on some level to think that the dreams are external and it's about that person, and I need to call them or I need to reach out. And I wouldn't discount that, and maybe in some rare circumstance, it might be appropriate to check on someone if you dreamt about them. But I think ultimately it's the individual aspect of what's it saying about me and my journey.
Yeah. I think I had somebody mention one time a dream they had about their spouse that seemed in the dream like it was revealing something that she didn't know at all that turned out to be true. And so she had this sense in which it was very prophetic. And I'm not discounting that that can sometimes be a possibility, but I would also say that dreams put us in a state where our defense mechanisms are down and releases our intuitive side, our ability to see things that we don't realize we're seeing because it's clues to those things are all around us. We just are not always paying attention to them. And my comment to her was, that's wonderful. And if that was helpful to you, great. But I have the feeling that your intuition knew before your conscious mind knew what was going on. And it
Mhm.
was appearing in the dream simply because your defenses are down as a way to help you and benefit your journey and to alert you to the things that you already were unconsciously beginning to know about your relationship. And it came to pass. So it felt very prophetic. Again, not denying that it can be at times, but more often it is kind of a revelation of the intuitive side of our
Right.
own personal journey.
Yeah. Mhm.
So we talked a little bit in a previous episode, or maybe in the sequence of these dream episodes, it may be in a subsequent one, I guess, about what we do when we don't remember our dreams.
Mhm.
So let me just give a couple techniques that have proven very effective with all of my clients and workshop participants. The first is, if you're showing up to a workshop or you're talking about dreams, you are, by doing that, placing value on the dream and saying, okay, I want to pay attention. That's the first step, is view them as important, as valuable. We begin to pay attention and notice those things that are important to us.
What
If
help before you continue, what helps someone get to the place where they see the value of the dreams? Is there something that helps them face that aspect of it, or makes them curious about it, or
Great question, Jim. I'll give you a couple things that I find have been helpful. One is when you can provide a couple of examples of how dreams were beneficial in raising self awareness in someone. Like
okay.
I'm not always recommending in depth self revelation, but I will often use an example of a dream that either I know of myself or of somebody that I have permission to use their dream and say, so here is a dream. And this is what the dream led to in terms of self awareness and problem resolution, increased creative thinking, all kinds of things that come as a result of paying attention to your dreams. So I think that that kind of whets the appetite. The second is, there are very few people who haven't had at least one nightmare that they can currently still remember. May come out of childhood, may come out of recently, years ago, but a nightmare that they can draw on. And to say that the nightmare is often viewed as a way by which the unconscious is trying to get your attention. And then I'll give some examples. You have a nightmare about standing in front of a group of people naked trying to give a speech, kind of a common dream for some people.
Mhm.
That nightmare is a way by which to depict emotions that you're not paying attention to, or you're feeling exposed or inadequately prepared. And when it comes to your attention, it gives you the opportunity to do some things to address that lack of preparedness or that feeling like your comparison to others is inadequate. So when I take a nightmare that somebody has had and try and give it a context of emotional weight in their life,
Okay.
that
Mhm.
raises curiosity.
Yeah.
The third thing that I will often do is to say that we've been exploring in our conversations some of the things that you're facing and how to bring some of that unconscious side into consciousness. And one of the best pathways to do that is through dreams, because that is the nightly ritual
Mhm.
of your brain addressing the unconscious things that you're not noticing. And so if you're
Good.
looking for a wonderful pathway to use imagery and characters that are representations of yourself, dreams are a great way to do that. So that is a way by which to get people to pay
Cool.
attention.
That's great. Good. So I think that for probably for men more than women, you think?
Oh,
They
absolutely.
they
Yeah.
struggle a little bit more with the idea that dreams have something to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you've
Again, that's interesting because is there a connection with that in the masculine and feminine? The feminine's relational, the masculine's task driven. So it's like if you can get them to see that there may be some sense to the dreams, that could connect them to the relational aspect of their side. Yeah.
It's also easy to give a couple very specific tasks for
Yes,
somebody
that's
who is task driven to do.
that's
One of
true.
those is to do a nightly ritual of putting some kind of recording device beside your bed and very specifically saying, I know I dream every night. Tonight, I want to remember a dream. And whenever
Right.
I awaken, I'm going to record it no matter what time that is. It's like a 3-step statement. Say that every night for the next 2 weeks. Just do it as a disciplinary thing and just see what happens.
I know it used to be they would recommend you write it down. Does it make a difference whether you record it or write it down?
It makes a big difference. The issue with not writing or recording it, particularly whenever it is that you awaken in the middle of the night or in the morning when you get up, is that you lose many of the component parts because the defense mechanisms naturally come up soon after you awake, and they cause so many parts of the dream to kind of disappear, like when the sun rises and dries the mist on the grass
Yeah.
or in the air. It makes some of those things kind of disappear and you forget them.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
recording is an act in and of itself of placing value on the dream. Yeah. So so one of the other pieces that I think is beneficial for a lot of individuals, and we've talked about this on another occasion, but is to value your sleep. It's easy to show the research that shows the value in a good full night's sleep.
Mhm.
Life longevity and length of sleep is inextricably connected.
Yeah, I just read an article yesterday about they've done recent studies on not only just getting good sleep, but the regularity, like the same time every night, waking up at the same time every day, and the value of that. I think this was had to do with dementia, that kind of sound sleep where the body can rely on the fact it's going to go to sleep at this time every night, it's going to get up at this time every day. It adds a whole significant aspect of just the continuity of sleep.
Yeah. And a full night's sleep is essential for having adequate rapid eye movement sleep, which is the
Mm.
dream state. Because, again, I think I've mentioned this before for those who have followed along in the podcast, that dream sleep is weighted toward the last half or the last third, actually, of dream. Deep sleep is weighted toward the beginning. So the biological need for the kind of the chemical rebalancing takes place first in that deep sleep, along with a transfer of memories from short term to long term. But dream sleep pushed to the last third of sleep is essential to our emotional regulation. And if we are cutting short sleep, and it can be that we're getting to bed too late, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
When we are decreasing from, let's say, 8 hours to 6 hours, most of what we're cutting out of our time is dream sleep.
Hmm.
So to value sleep is to value dreams. So that's like a fourth thing you can do to
Yeah,
show
got it.
that you value the dreams is to get an adequate night's sleep.
Is there any, evidence to suggest that the older you get, the less you dream because you don't sleep as long as you used to, or not?
So the first part of that is yes, there is evidence that as you get older, dream sleep decreases, as does deep sleep,
Yeah.
which is an interesting fact as well. But the correlation to what that does to your body, I'm not sure has been completely verified by science. It
Okay.
just is noted that it decreases as you get older. Yeah, more time spent in like stage 1 and 2 sleep, which is interesting. It doesn't help much for the restfulness or as much as the other two do for feeling
Mhm.
rested the next day.
Mhm.
So, how old are you, Jim? And how have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah, I'm 13, and so, I sleep till noon every day.
That's so
No,
great.
no, I've noticed, man, I used to be able to sleep, but, man, it's interesting. As you age, you definitely don't sleep as easily as far as just staying asleep. I can wake up the same time every day, and you kinda take, 15, 20 minutes to get up, and lay there. But, yeah, it's really fascinating to notice the sleep differences. I can go to sleep pretty quickly anymore, but I wake up the same time every day usually, and it's like, "Can I can I sleep some more maybe?" Or
A common challenge for a lot of people, it may increase with age. I'm not sure if I've seen the research on that, but is being able to go to sleep relatively easily, but waking up in the middle of the night and having a tough time going back to sleep.
Mhm.
And there are a number of techniques. I've listened to a number of people that talk about a technique that's called cognitive restructuring, which is just a technique of going through a mental process that tries to take your mind off of what you're ruminating on and placing it on something that is a relatively boring task, but can keep your mind engaged. And so that is a method that I have used a couple times that's
Yeah,
effective.
one of the things that I recommend for people that kinda wake up or they can't get back to sleep because they ruminate, and they start thinking about everything and the next day and all their life's problems, and I will say the brain can't spin and focus at the same time.
Mm.
So I said, if you have the discipline to get up and just write out bullet points of what you're thinking, it'll slow the brain down enough to help you relax to get back to sleep. And that's been pretty effective with people that have the discipline and the courage to do it in the middle of the night. They get up and start writing something down. But it makes, I mean, it's true. The brain can't spin and focus at the same time. Although some people will challenge me on that occasionally, but
No, I think it's a great technique, and the proof is in, does it work for you? If it works
yeah.
for you, use it. If not,
Mhm.
go on to the next technique.
And that was a personal experience 100 years ago. For me, it was like, okay. And when I realized that, I said, okay, yeah, if I really get focused on the thoughts I'm having and I write them out, yeah, I'm not thinking about the next thought until I'm ready to write it down. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
a slightly different use of that technique is what a particular academician who was writing about cognitive restructuring used. And that is to pick a word. When I do it, I actually pick a person's name. So my kids' names, my grandchildren's names, pick a name, and then with each letter of that name as many nouns as you can or words that you can that start with that letter. Don't name them
Oh,
out loud,
good.
just quietly. And when you name it, visualize it. Try and think of what it looks like or smells like or
Yeah, great.
tastes like.
That's good.
And when you run out of the number of words where that letter, go to the next letter. And for many, many people, they never get through the whole name
Mhm.
because the brain stops the ruminating and it's
Yeah.
focused on a cognitive exercise that is very boring, but changes the way the brain is working.
Yeah, the same way that I do it, I'll tell people that if you're overthinking and ruminating and you're sitting at your office, just focus on the clock on the wall and what time is it and where'd you buy that clock and why'd you buy that clock? Get caught up in the details of whatever you're looking at. That will slow the brain down as well. So yeah,
Yep,
they're all real
great technique.
interesting cognitive techniques. Yeah.
Let me toss out one other thing. The clock image reminded me of something that some people agonize that time passes while they're laying in bed and find it incredibly frustrating. And I get that. But one of the things
Do,
that
do, do they want time to stand still and then yet they never wake up or what?
I think they're panicking that they're going to wake up for an early morning meeting and be exhausted.
Yes,
I think that's what it is.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the techniques, it's not a technique, it's a perspective that Matthew Walker uses, and he's the author of the book Why We Sleep, an excellent book that I've referenced a few times. But he talks not about how many hours sleep you get, but for him, his journey, he designates the amount of sleep opportunity. So if you're in bed and you're resting, but you're giving yourself 8 hours of sleep opportunity, that's the language that he uses. And I've found that if I view my time in bed resting, even if I'm having a tough time getting back to sleep, as part of my sleep opportunity, it changes my perspective on it. I'm not getting angry at myself that I can't
Okay.
get
Yeah, I can
asleep.
see that. Mhm.
I'm more relaxed that, okay, I'm resting, which is the whole point of this. The last thing I will offer that's a technique that a number of people have found it's used successful in their life, is doing your own rapid eye movements, even though you're not yet asleep. So the technique is
Yeah, do I see when they do that?
Well, you do it with your eyelids closed, and you go left to right, maybe 15 times, and you go up and down 15 times, and then you make a clockwise circle with your eyes 15 times and a counterclockwise circle with your eyes 15 times, and takes your mind off of
You're hypnotizing people.
it's exactly what takes place. But then relax at the end of it, and for many people, it puts them to sleep.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, you know what EMDR is, eye movement desensitization response. I
Yeah.
mean, has the eye movement go back and forth helps release trauma. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it could be releasing certain levels of stress that
Yeah,
keep you awake.
absolutely. Yep. I think back to that title of that book. I mean, that's a pretty short book, isn't it? Why We Sleep. Isn't it because I'm tired?
That's right. It's just one sentence. But the
Sorry,
guy's
I
made a
am.
killing off of it. It's great.
Every page you turn, it says tired. I'm tired.
That's right.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that crazy way my brain thinks sometimes. So I'm sure it's a wonderful book. I've not read it, so I'm not minimizing the book at all.
I've made up for you. It's one of the few books I've read multiple times. So,
Oh, good, good.
yeah. And just a couple more things that people often go down interesting pathways concerning dreams. We talked about I don't dream. I don't remember my dream. I had a dream about Brad Pitt. I had a dream about my wife. I so
How about if there's a divorce and they dream about their ex a lot? Have you encountered that at all?
yes. So sometimes it's the kind of questions that you ask as a result of it. And often I would say it's far less about correctly interpreting a dream. Instead, it's about allowing the dream to interpret you.
Good.
So,
Mhm.
whatever question you ask that is
Mhm.
beneficial, great. I can give you generally what we do when we're doing it therapeutically or in a coaching session and what has worked historically for people in terms of the kinds of ways you view those things. But when you're dreaming of an ex regularly, should ask the question of are there things that are happening daily for you that are triggering that? What are the triggers? So it's not about your ex, but what's being triggered inside of you that you're not paying attention to? Is the emotion that comes in the dream anger, hostility, longing? Is there a loneliness? What are the
Mhm.
kinds of emotions that are associated both in the dream and what you may not be paying attention to during the day?
Uh,
The second piece is that anytime somebody is married, that person leaves a strong imprint on the individual. So let's say that I'm talking to a gentleman who is in a heterosexual marriage and that he's divorced and he constantly has dreams of his ex. The question is that a representation of your feminine side? And what part of your feminine side were you attracted to in this person when you first got
yeah.
married?
Mhm.
And what part of you now is not getting expressed that
Got it.
desperately needs expression and be brought out of the unconscious? You pushed it away literally in your external environment by getting a divorce. Are you also pushing it away internally, that part of you that
Good.
you were dependent upon your spouse to bring into
Yep.
your life?
That's good. Mhm.
So that's where I would go with that if somebody came.
That's
Um,
great.
are you familiar at all with lucid dreams?
Not a lot. Mm.
Lucid dreams are those where you're in a dream and you
You
know
dream
you're in
about
a dream.
you dream about the car, the lucid car? Isn't there a
That's
lucid
right.
electric
Don't you have
car?
stock in that company? That's what I was
Yeah.
referring
No,
to.
I sold it.
Yeah, lucid
Alright,
dreams
little
are about
distraction.
the new truck that just came out that Lucid is doing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Lucid dreams are when you're not only in a dream and you think you know you're in a dream, but you feel like you can control aspects of the dream.
Oh,
Those are
geez.
usually those are the characteristics of lucid
Oh,
dreamers.
I don't know that I've ever had one, or at least I'm not consciously aware of that. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Hmm.
I think that
Is it common?
yes, it's common enough that it gets a lot of attention in the literature.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
The problem is for me is it often comes across like a distraction. Like, look at this cool technique that I can do. And it's true. You can sometimes make choices in your dreams where a dream will go a particular direction. It's not far different from what Jung described as active imagination when you enter back
Okay.
into a dream and you say, what if I finished this dream? Or what if I went up to a character and asked that character, why are you trying to get my attention? So that's active imagination. And lucid dreaming, it's kind of the same thing, except you're still asleep.
Hmm.
I think for me, when I hear somebody talk about it, it's great, but I come back to the same thing. What is it that the dream's trying to bring to your attention? I get that it's really cool that you can control some items, but I'm not sure that changes the dynamic of what you can learn from a dream if you're asking the right questions. The more common thing is, which I'm sure is in therapy, if you ever get a client that comes in and talks about a dream, often it's a nightmare,
Mhm. Mm.
a panic situation,
Yeah.
snakes, spiders in front of a crowd, a confrontation with some shadowy figure. All of those are golden opportunities to talk about the shadow side.
Yeah, I think the way that my shadow side shows up is that in the last 2 years, I've had probably 4 or 5 significant dreams where I'm just really angry, and I'm whether it's a good friend or somebody I know, and I'm just yelling at them, and I always wake up with kind of a smile because I don't naturally identify anger very easily, and so when I wake up and I think, "Oh, man, what am I really angry about? Because I let that part of me have it." And so that's always an interesting thing for me to process when I wake up, because on some level in the dream, I feel better that I've expressed my anger. But when I wake up, I always feel like, "Oh, geez, that kinda why was I so mad?" Which is which is not an unusual pattern for me. If I confront, sometimes I'll have to work through feeling bad about confronting whoever in my personal life. So that's always been interesting for me when I have those dreams. But I also know that's my shadow side. Yeah.
So on this last trail riding trip where you cussed me out 2 different times, you were
Oh,
actually addressing
you
the anger during your awake life so you didn't have to do it during your dreams, right?
no, I'm sorry, I thought you meant my dreams I wake up wake up swearing. Oh, that's funny. If I did do that, I apologize. I don't remember doing it, but maybe in your mind you thought I should have. I don't know.
Do you want me to give you the specific lines you used?
You know what? Maybe next podcast.
Next podcast. Well, actually, that's probably a good place to wrap this up.
Yep,
This is,
sounds
I
good.
hope, been helpful for some people who just want an introduction of some of the issues that we're going to talk about. You raised a great point, Jim. This really takes us back into all of the first season by looking at the masculine, the feminine, the androgynous characters in a dream,
Yep,
exploring that in our own selves, looking at the shadow side. I hope we get into issues of projection and how they appear in dreams
that'd be great.
and can take us down pathways in ways that I think move us more rapidly towards self-awareness because we are generating all this imagery ourselves, and it gives us an opportunity to explore it.
Yeah, just like for some, the whole idea of the masculine and feminine is maybe new information as far as the framework. And just like this, people dream all the time and they may be curious, but they haven't followed through with that. So to make it a little curious for them to investigate more of what masculine and feminine dreams is, that'd be great. I mean, that's I think why we're doing this to some degree.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Cool.
Thanks, Jim. Looking forward to the rest of this
Thanks,
series.
Dr. Kelly. I'll call you Dr. Kelly here at the end. So
Appreciate it, Dr. Shalley.
yeah. Talk to you soon.
Okay. That's it for this episode of Therapy, Coaching, and Dreams. If you're enjoying the podcast, we'd love for you to follow, rate, or share it with someone who might appreciate it as well. Thanks for being here, and until next time, keep growing, stay curious, and take good care of yourself.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff.